Welcome, my Phoenix family, to One-Footed Phoenix. There are actually things that I've gained from the experience of having chronic pain. The first thing that I've gained from the experience of having chronic pain is compassion. I've gained a greater understanding of what it's like to go through a chronic pain condition and also a greater understanding of invisible disabilities. So the second thing that I have gained from chronic pain and amputation is new hobbies. I have really had to kind of reinvent myself and what I thought of doing during any sort of leisurely free time, which I don't always have a lot of, or I have way too much of. And that's not uncommon with chronic pain to have a lot of leisurely time, but also like things that you can do while you're in more of a recovery and resting state. So, since my original accident in 2018, I learned how to crochet better, and I've learned how to make granny squares. I mean, I don't make a whole lot of crazy stuff, but I do know how to make granny squares and kind of turn them into sweaters or blankets or things like that, which is actually like really good to have this activity to do with my hands. And this worked better for me because my chronic pain was not in my hands, but if your chronic pain is in your feet, you may find other activities that you can do with your feet. You know, there are people out there that can paint with their feet and like make it look really good, so I don't know, maybe that's your thing. I have also learned to get better with shading with colored pencils. This is something that I've wanted to learn for a long time, but never really like had the chance to put the effort into it. I'm sorry, my tortoise is very restless. I've also learned to get better at content creation because of my chronic pain. I've been able to spend a lot of time trying to research things about YouTube and about making videos. I've learned one video software and then I went over to trying to learn Adobe, and I didn't know like anything about Adobe hardly. I mean, like my experience at that point with Adobe was like, I know how to use Photoshop, but at that point when I started using Adobe Premiere, I didn't know like anything. And then I took some Adobe classes later on as part of my degree and part of my schooling online. So that was actually really helpful. And I've learned some useful skills, you know, to be able to further a career, but also be able to further myself in trying to build a business and make videos for you guys. So I would say that's definitely like a huge positive that's come out of having chronic pain, is just taking the time and trying to learn those things. And, you know, like granted, when I was trying to do educational stuff, I typically did it when I was at my kind of like best with not having as much of the chronic pain. So like when I was in a huge flare, I wasn't necessarily like trying to do educational things. So a more recent hobby that's come up for me has been birding. So this little painting behind me, this is a black-capped chickadee. They're super cute. They're the ones that say fee-foo, fee-foo. But I now can identify a lot of different birds just like by their bird song. And, you know, if I hear a chickadee going chickadee-dee-dee-dee-dee, I'm like, oh, that's my favorite. It's my little chickadee. So also kind of why I have birds in the background, and I plan to have a couple more like watercolor paintings back here. You guys can let me know what you think about that. So along the lines of birding and my hobbies, the third thing that I have gained from chronic pain is appreciation for the little things. I would say that there's a lot of things I took for granted before I lost my leg and before I ended up with chronic pain, and I think that's a very normal and human response to feel that sense of grief and loss. However, a upside to that grief and loss is the fact that I do appreciate things in life more now that, like, you know, like I know that it will cost me more to do those things that bring me joy, but also there's that potential there to have even more joy out of those things than I would have had before. Number 4 of the things that I gained from having chronic pain is that when I stub my left toe, it doesn't even hurt, but I say ow anyway, which just like doesn't make any sense, but it's kind of funny. Like, even if I drop something on the left side, like, I always say ow, and it's probably because I have those, like, weird brain connections where I think I feel it, and I don't. But that's actually called phantom sensation, and it's a good thing when you go to get your prosthetic where that's how your brain can kind of tell where your foot is underneath you, even though you don't have any feeling or nerves in that foot because it's a prosthetic. So, the number 5 thing that I have learned from having chronic pain would be a better understanding of mental illness. I have better realized what it's like to go through depression and to go through times where you maybe have those darker thoughts. And it makes me realize that it's so cool that we have a world where, we can speak out about mental illness so much more than we could in the past. And I know it's not perfect, and there's still times where people are being discriminated against, but I am grateful for the progress that's been made in that regard. I also have gained a better understanding of where to go to get help for my mental health, and a better understanding that if I'm in crisis, it's going to be actually a lot less money to submit myself to an emergency room if I'm in that crisis state, which thankfully that's only happened once where I've had to do that. But it also means that I've gained a better understanding of it's okay to ask for help, and it's not a shameful thing as much as I thought it was to be strong enough to ask for help. So, the number 6 thing that I have gained from having chronic pain is the appreciation for modern medicine. So, this one might be a little bit of a controversial one, but as someone who has had extreme chronic pain, I am thankful for the pain medication that makes my life tolerable. I also have a big appreciation for the doctors who are willing to research things to be able to give me a better quality of life. I mean, like, that's pretty admirable because there are a lot of doctors out there that are like I don't have answers, I don't know what to do for you, and they just kind of like give up on you and pass you to the next person. So I am also very thankful for the fact that I could be under anesthesia when they took my leg off because, yeah, I can imagine that would have been a much more painful process to go through. The number 7 thing that I have gained from chronic pain is actually just learning to say no to people and learning to be firm in my answers of no, because I think before I ended up with chronic pain, I tended to say yes to like too many things in a bad way, and I tended to be more of a people pleaser than maybe I am now. So in a lot of ways, that's probably a healthy thing because I tended to put others like way above myself. And yes, that's an admirable quality in most cases, but when you're talking about your own health and putting others before your own health, that's not good. Because if you're not healthy, then you can't like adequately actually help other people. So, number 8 thing that I learned from chronic pain is to believe in something that can carry you through any storm. So for me, that's a belief in Jesus. For you, it might be something else, and that's okay. That's the beautiful thing about humanity, is that we're all different, we all have our different beliefs, but those beliefs in something really do make a difference and an impact on our ability to handle change and to handle challenges. This isn't necessarily to say that, like, if you're religious, you're not going to have any challenges in life, because that's definitely not true. I am a perfect testament to the fact that even if you believe in God, you're probably going to have a lot of challenges in your life, and that is, part of that is simply a part of the human experience, is that you're going to have some hard times. But for me, having that reliable thing that I could go back on every time I hit a bump in the road and every time I hit something really hard, and quite frankly, a few times when I hit just about rock bottom, it was my faith and my belief in God that really helped to start to heal me and pull me out of those dark places. So for you, you might have a purpose that is to be a disability advocate. Your purpose in life might be to also volunteer with some sort of organization. You might also find that you purpose and healing in support groups or in finding friends that have been through similar things, and perhaps that is your purpose in life. But having that belief in something that you can go back on when you encounter hard times is so important. And I would say, like, if you don't have that belief yet, like, it's not too late to start building that, even if you're going through something really hard right now. The number 9 thing that I gained from chronic pain is that resting is productive. And I used to not really believe that taking care of myself or resting or having a timeout was productive or healthy for me, because I kind of was programmed with this idea that, like, if I wasn't doing anything, that I wasn't really like contributing to society per se, and I was kind of just being lazy. But that isn't necessarily like how we should be looking at it if we are someone with chronic pain. In fact, I think it takes a lot of self-compassion to be like, hey, you know what? I know you're not having a good day today, but hey, guess what? You got up, you showered, and sometimes that is an accomplishment for the day, and it's totally okay. You're allowed to have your struggles. You're allowed to have your days where you're like, I don't want to do this today. Because chronic pain at the end of the day is hard. The 10th and last thing that I have gained from chronic pain on this list is community. Community and friendships that I probably wouldn't have had any other way have come through the experience of having chronic pain. They've come through the experience of coming home early from a mission. They've come through the experience of having difficulty with my amputation. I think as well that the community that I've been able to build online with you guys in the Phoenix family, that wouldn't really be a thing if I had never gone through those experiences of chronic pain. And so maybe there is something for you in your life that's similar to that, where you're like, wow, like, I wouldn't have had this like really amazing friend that plays the piano really well and has CRPS and like never really like had anyone else in her real life that had CRPS until she found me. Like, that wouldn't have happened had I not gone through that. And I'm grateful for her. She's an amazing friend. We still talk pretty regularly, even though I moved away from that area. And I think about that and I'm like, wow, I wouldn't have had the opportunity to be that kind of friend to her had I not gone through it myself. So, if you would like to see another video talking about chronic pain and kind of how to handle it with a doctor per se, you can watch the video from last week, and I will put that up on the screen right over here. And I'll see you all in the next video. Thanks for watching!